Have you ever felt like you're caught in some lifelong competition you never actually signed up for? Well, today we're diving deep into the lasting impact of growing up being constantly compared to others.
You know that feeling like no matter what you accomplish, you're always being measured against somebody else, and you always seem to come up a little short? If that question just hits you right in the gut, then you're definitely in the right place.
See, that feeling of being on trial? It doesn't just vanish when you grow up. It echoes into adulthood, and it shows up in some really specific ways. Maybe for you, it looks like maladaptive perfectionism, that constant, joyless striving that's driven by a deep fear of failing. Or maybe it's that nagging voice of the imposter phenomenon, always whispering that you're a fraud and you're about to be found out. It can even show up as the fawn response, this almost compulsive need to please everyone around you just to feel a baseline of safety. And then there's anhedonia, which is this profound, frustrating inability to feel actual joy or pride in the things you've achieved. These aren't just random personality quirks, they are patterns with a very, very deep root.
So, to really understand these echoes, we have to go back to the source. We have to talk about a childhood that gets caught in what's called the comparison trap. And look, this isn't about the occasional, "why can't you be more like your cousin" comment. This is about a relentless, pervasive environment of measurement. Now, here's what's so fascinating. Comparing ourselves to others, it's a totally normal, fundamental human instinct. Way back in 1954, a social psychologist named Leon Festinger figured this out. He explained that we are literally wired to look at other people to figure out where we stand, especially when there isn't some objective yardstick. So the simple act of comparing isn't actually the problem here.
The crucial difference, and this is everything, is the intent behind the comparison. Healthy comparison? It's great. It helps us learn, it motivates us to grow, to get better at things. But toxic comparison? That's a whole different beast. It's used as a tool for control. It creates what the source calls a zero-sum economy of love and worth. The idea that for you to get a piece of the pie, someone else has to lose theirs. It doesn't motivate growth, it only motivates fear.
And that fear, that constant, grinding feeling of being less than, it's not just an idea floating around in your head. Oh no, it leaves a real, physical, biological footprint on a developing brain. Let's actually look at how.
Okay, to get the biology, we need to know this one term, allostatic load. It sounds kind of technical, but all it really means is the cumulative wear and tear on your body from being under chronic stress. When your body's alarm system is always on, things just start to wear out. And this is just the perfect analogy for it. It's the rust that forms when your body's stress engine never ever shuts off. Imagine that. The threat of being judged, of being found not enough, is so constant that your engine never gets a break. And just like any engine, it starts to rust.
This table right here, it basically maps out where that rust shows up in the brain. So let's just walk through it. The amygdala, that's your brain's threat detector. It becomes hypersensitive, which can lead to intense social anxiety. The ventral striatum, that's your reward center. Its response gets blunted, and that's exactly why it can be so hard to feel pride or joy in your success. Hello, imposter syndrome. The hippocampus, which is crucial for memory, can literally shrink, making it harder to manage emotional responses. And that DAC, it becomes hyperactive, which is why a friend getting a promotion can feel like an actual physical pain. The most important thing to remember here is that this is biology. This is not a character flaw.
Now, this kind of environment doesn't just happen in a vacuum. It's often part of a larger family system where, in order to keep a kind of dysfunctional balance, children get cast in these very specific roles.
And first up, we have the golden child. Now on the surface, this kid looks like the winner of the whole comparison game, but this role comes with an enormous and often hidden burden.
The golden child lives what's called a conditional existence. Their worth, their sense of being loved, is tied directly to their performance, to what they do, not who they are. They essentially become an extension of a parent's ego. And this creates this crushing fear of failure, because any little slip-up feels like it could mean losing everything, their status, and they believe love itself.
This quote from the source material is just devastatingly accurate. The real wound for the golden child is the slow death of their true, authentic self. It gets replaced by this perfect persona that was built just to please other people.
And then, on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, we have the scapegoat. This is the problem child, the one who's basically assigned all of the family's dysfunction and all of its shame.
The scapegoat is the one carrying the weight of everything that's wrong. But
Here's the paradox. Because they're already on the outside looking in, they are often the ones who see the truth of the situation with the most clarity. That forced independence can build an incredible paradoxical resilience, and very often, they are the ones who grow up to finally break the toxic cycle.
This is the core belief that gets wired into the scapegoat's brain. It's this deep, pervasive feeling that they aren't just someone who did something wrong. They believe they are something wrong, fundamentally defective at their core.
So when you have this intense drama playing out between the golden child and the scapegoat, a third role often emerges. This is the child who learns to survive by simply disappearing.
The invisible child's main strategy is just silence. They figure out that any attention at all, whether it's positive or negative, is dangerous. They get praised for being so easy and low maintenance, but they pay a really high price for it. By fading into the background, they avoid conflict, sure, but they also starve themselves of connection and validation. As adults, they often find it almost impossible to even know what they want or need, and they can feel this deep, profound guilt for simply taking up space in a relationship.
Okay, so we've looked at the trap, the biology, and the roles, and I know it can all feel pretty heavy. But here is the most important part of this whole story. It doesn't have to end there. It is absolutely possible to heal, to move from a life that's just about surviving to one where you are actually thriving.
And this right here is the heart of it all. The entire goal of recovery is to shift your fundamental sense of self-worth. It's about moving it from something outside of you, your job, your achievements, what other people think, to something that is inside of you, something stable, secure, and completely inherent.
One of the most powerful tools for this is learning how to set boundaries. Now, I know that can feel absolutely terrifying, so the source suggests this brilliant ladder approach. You start small. You just start with a pause, something like, "Let me get back to you." That little step breaks that automatic yes reflex. And then you just build from there, step by step, from a soft no to a hard no, slowly reclaiming your own space and autonomy.
Another incredibly powerful concept is something called reparenting. And all this really means is consciously and deliberately giving your adult self the validation, the safety, and the unconditional love that you may not have gotten as a kid. It's about finally learning how to be your own secure base.
And finally, and this is so important, we can start to reframe this entire narrative. The survival skills you had to develop, they can be transformed into your greatest strengths. That hypervigilance that you needed to stay safe, that can become profound, incredible empathy. The experience of being an outcast, that can forge a fierce, unapologetic authenticity. You didn't just get damaged, you survived, and that in itself is proof of your immense resilience.
So let's end on this one thought. The entire system of toxic comparison, all the roles, all the pain, it's all built on this one big lie, that belonging is conditional, that you have to perform, that you have to win, that you have to be better than just to be worthy of it. But what if that was never true? What if belonging is your birthright, something you already have and can never ever lose?